Well, something very fishy is going on here. These 4 young Americans died in a NATO training exercise in Lithuania, and the U.S. government response has my Spidey-sense triggered. Take a look at these faces. Not a one of them is over 30. 2 of them had small kids. They died in a tragic and mysterious circumstance, and we all should demand answers. Now, here are the big questions we're going to tackle. I am by no means a military training expert, but even I know something's up when I read the story. So I'm not here to present a conspiracy theory because we still know so little, but the timeline doesn't add up. So watch for yourself. Here's some questions. Why did NATO announce these deaths a full 5 days before they were confirmed by the U.S. military? Why is the U.S. military not able to lock down a rescue mission? Lithuania basically live blogged it, which is not protocol. Why are we running training missions near Russia for NATO? Why did Lithuanian military say the tank was empty when in fact the men were inside dead? Why was that? Why did we get confirmation of these deaths so long after they had that tank full of 4 dead bodies? Do you recover a tank and say, I wonder if there are dead guys in there? The 4 guys were missing. Should we look in the tank?
Maybe that's a good place to start.
Nah, we don't need to open it. Let's, like Christmas morning, we just leave it closed. What? Go ahead.
The tank where they called with the distress signal?
Right, yeah.
Maybe we'll check in the place where they called because they were in trouble.
So they had it for 5 days and we got no confirmation that there were dead bodies inside. I'm going to show you that. Who in the year 2025 dies in a bog, like in the Never-Ending Story, in a heavily commed military vehicle near a training base with clear skies so they could have sent up rescue aircraft? How? And when that bog was on a map, it was mapped. So do they normally just drive right into bogs? So here's the timeline. You're going to have to remember that last Tuesday was March 25th. So keep that in mind if you're watching this much later. March 25th is on a Tuesday. From me, that's just a week ago. So the official line from Stars and Stripes, the military news outlet, is that the M88A2 Hercules armored vehicle sank into a bog on that Tuesday, March 25th, during an early morning operation that sparked nearly a week-long rescue effort. This is what an M88 looks like. It has all the live communication ability you'd expect, plus GPS. Now, the next day, the very next day, Wednesday, the 26th, Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, said all 4 soldiers are dead. And then he walked it back and said, actually, we didn't mean that. We don't even know if they're dead. Sorry. The rescue mission, again, 24 hours later, Mark Rutte saying, no, I misspoke. This is an active rescue mission. Didn't mean to say that, guys. We regret any confusion. But then the Lithuanian military said, actually, we have the tank. 1 day later, this is Wednesday. Yeah, we have the tank, but it's empty, they said. Take a look at this news headline. Empty tank found in swamp in hunt for 4 U.S. soldiers feared dead after NATO drills on Putin's ally border. Now the military is saying that the 4 men were all dead inside. So why did we get this news last week from the Lithuanian Defense Ministry? Watch.
We want to repeat once again, there's no confirmation that the soldiers were killed. I'll read it for you. I will say that the area is now narrowed. Well, we know area at where something maybe happened. That's why we've gathered all the equipment. Lithuanians, together with the Americans, are doing preparatory work, he says. I can't really comment further because there's an ongoing investigation into the missing soldiers. And what I can say is that it's very important for us to find those soldiers as soon as possible. Because you all know how important it is, the presence of U.S. troops in Lithuania. Their soldiers are like our Lithuanian soldiers to us, so we spare no effort within the American command. The battalion chief and the brigade chief has arrived. We are looking for and trying to find solutions.
Now, she says, at the moment, there is no confirmed information. There are no bodies of dead soldiers. That's why it's wrong to say they're dead soldiers. So she says, we have the tank and it was empty and we have no soldiers. Why did she say that when the U.S. military on April 1st, just 5 days later, would say they were found dead inside the tank? So did they pull up that tank and then just kind of put it over there and not open it up? Does that make sense? Did they pull up the tank and they just did a cursory eye sweep and didn't find them? Why did they say that? Why were they lying? So that was the following day, Wednesday, the 26th. They have the tank. The soldiers are inside dead. That's what we're being told now. But they just didn't see them in there. And then for the next 5 days, the Lithuania Department of Defense basically live blogs this event on its X account, where we get all kinds of images like this of drones and backhoes and, dogs and all that kind of stuff. Now, note the date here, March 31st. Why are they posting this on Sunday when they've had the tank with the bodies since Wednesday? Are they just playing with their toys now? Also note that all of these images we were given from the Lithuanian military is not protocol. Standard U.S. military protocol for incidents involving military personnel and sensitive equipment includes a perimeter lockdown, usually, if we are in charge, the United States, to secure the site and prevent unauthorized access. This is all written up in the guidelines on ready.gov. So did the military, the U.S. military, not care that this was a U.S. rescue mission and put our protocol on and say, lock this down, please stop streaming things like this? Did we not want to tell Lithuania to knock it off and stop putting this on social media? Did this buy them time? If they had recovered the tank with the bodies inside within a day, were they just playing with us, pretending there were no answers? Or were they looking for something else? Or is this a distraction from some other truth? Now, when President Trump was asked about this, he says, well, the tank was just so heavy, it just dropped down like one of those things.
Mr. President, have you had any updates on the U.S. soldiers missing in Lithuania?
I have.
Can you give us an update?
So 3 are no longer with us, and 1 is unfortunately probably in the same category, but they haven't declared that yet. It was a very heavy truck, like a toy, but really heavy, that lifted the heaviest equipment. And it would seem that the bank of a lake collapsed. The weight is so big. And it was at night, and it was very cold weather, ice, a lot of ice. And it's possibly slipped, and the weight is so enormous of this thing. It's a massively heavy vehicle. And if they slipped a little bit, that's probably what happened, and it flipped. And 3 are gone, and 1 is missing.
On a separate topic.
Yeah, so someone in the chat says, these are training exercises. This happens all the time. Exactly, this happens all the time. But we're told the truth about it, usually, it seems. But why the lies about all these soldiers being missing? We can't find them. We don't know where they are. And then having to walk this back and to tell us that they're inside.
Why the rescue theater for 5 days after they'd recovered the tank, and then pretending they don't know where the bodies are, and then just to tell us, oh, we've had them all along. They've been in the tank. Why that? What's behind that? Also, President Trump said it was at night. Well, it was early morning, so it may have been dark. We don't see any images of ice, like he said, but maybe there was. Now, my biggest question is, why are they? Why do we have Americans dying to train in Eastern Europe in the first place for combat against Russia on Russian borders? Here's a map of where this happened. And also, again, the only watery areas known next to the base were mapped. So why would they then drive into that area? These are all 4 young men, all of them under 30. One was a father of 4, the other a father of 2 young children under 2. Now, General Christopher Donahue, he's the commander of the U.S. Army forces in Europe, confirmed that they had to, quote, lean heavily on the support from Lithuania, Poland, and Estonia. He said this to Stars and Stripes: "This is a tragic event, but it reinforces what it means to have allies and friends." Now, I see it very differently. I feel like, well, we went out to put ourselves in danger for these allies and friends. We need not have done that, maybe. My take is that President Trump had signaled that he would start to reduce cooperation with NATO. He said that, right? Am I on glue? Or did that actually happen? He said we need to reduce our foreign presence, reduce the number of military bases, stop training for a war with Russia, reduce the size of military presence overseas in general. If he had actually done that, then these soldiers would be alive, right? Now, there's no need for any American to be training for a war with Russia, and not especially alongside war-loving NATO as our allies. Now, of course, this could very well have been an accident. I'm not blaming President Trump for this, clearly, but I am saying maybe this will motivate us to withdraw troops from NATO cooperation. If this had happened on U.S. soil, which sure, it could have happened in any U.S. state, absolutely, possibly, actually, because we don't know if it was some kind of foreign sabotage, but possibly could have happened in the United States. But then we would have been able to secure the optics. Maybe we would have been able to get to those soldiers faster. Maybe we wouldn't have had a foreign government live streaming rescue efforts. Maybe we would have had not the comms mistakes, right? Possibly. So let's stop playing war with NATO and bring our troops home where we know we can protect them better, huh? How about that?
Yeah, President Trump has called out President Biden basically for starting the war in Ukraine, admitted it, thankfully. And I was like shocked. I'm like, I can't believe President Trump is saying this. Hallelujah. Like, let's applaud the man for actually calling out the BS of what Democrats did and getting us into this war under Obama and expanding, of course, the war against Russia. It is a proxy war. We should have these soldiers come home. The 50,000 of them that are stationed around in these different bases need to come home. And by the way, they're sitting ducks in the Middle East right now. So this is what happens. And President Biden, by the way, knew this was going to happen. He's called attention to the fact that this was going to happen during his presidency. He said it's only a matter of time before American soldiers get hurt and killed in the Middle East. Well, if it's a matter of time, Mr. President Biden, then let's get them the hell out of there. If it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before this kind of stuff happens far from home.
Now, I'd love to hear from maybe military veterans or anyone who's done a training exercise like this who might say, well, it does look like this is the risk of normal training exercises. But now we have two fatal training exercises under the Trump administration. The first one took out a plane of civilians, and now this one has 4 military personnel underwater dead. And so maybe we need to secure training exercises. There's a thought, right? A relevant thought. And maybe we need to have more control over when we go into training exercises that we actually can protect our people. And maybe NATO's not it. Maybe that ain't it anymore. Maybe this is not the boyfriend to have. So let me know what you think. I really would love your response on this. It doesn't add up, right? On what's missing here. What's the missing element?
Gail Seeker in our chat says, yeah, but Trump is not bringing the soldiers home, though. So, yeah, I mean, I know he said it. So we were applauding him saying that he was going to do that. And they were going to reposition some of those soldiers out of Europe. I'd love them for on America's southern border. That's where, or the Canadian border.